What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Blackwater Podcast. Today is October the 15th, and this podcast is brought to you by Jim Bridger, the book. Jim Bridger, the grand old man of the Rockies. Now, the people that wrote this book, Jim Bridger's obviously dead, so he's not paying for this, and the people that wrote this book have no idea who I am or who this podcast is, and therefore they're not sponsoring this monetarily either. But I'm going to tell you guys, if you have not read this book, you're doing yourself an injustice, because if you are into hunting and into history and into things about being a man and tough dudes and bad dudes and just men's men in general, Jim Bridger is the epitome of that, and one of the toughest people to ever be a part of, or frontiersmen, I should say, to ever be a part of discovering and pioneering the Western United States. This guy is the guy on a toughness scale that most of us men wish we could be. Awesome book, great stories told from accounts of different people, stuff straight from Jim's mouth, accounts from different people that he had interacted with and lived with throughout his lifetime, and just some really good, kind words at the end from people that knew and respected him, just for the man that he was. So I suggest you guys go get that if you get a chance. Amazon, it's like $5, man. Order it on Amazon for $5. It'll be shipped to your house within 2 days if you got a Prime account. Jim Bridger, the grand old man of the Rockies. Definitely worth your time. Before I get started on today's topic, I do have a quick little story for you guys. I think you guys will appreciate this, especially the men who listen to this. I don't know if we have any women that listen to this at all. I would guess if the status quo is 10%, that we might have 10 women. Out of the 100 people that listen to this, we might have 10 women and 90 men. So this is more for the men, women. Hopefully you have a sense of humor also and will give us a laugh. But if not, here we go. So this morning, right, first of all, let me preface that by saying that I've been on this kick here lately where I've been trying to listen through Steve Rinella and the Meat Eater podcast. They have like 240 episodes. So I've been trying to just go top to bottom and listen through them. I do that a lot of times in the morning when I'm taking a shower, getting ready. I'll turn that on and do that throughout my day and then pick it back up, when I have a little time later. But anyways, I'm in the shower this morning. Wife's getting ready in the bathroom, getting her stuff done to be able to go to work today. And I've got the podcast on. Pretty much just loud enough for me to listen to while I'm taking a shower. My wife glaringly looks over and says, "That is so freaking loud. Could you please turn that down before you wake the kids up?" And I said, "Oh yeah, my bad. I've got horrible hearing anyway, so maybe it is really loud." So I oblige, reach over there, turn the volume down to where now I'm just barely hearing over the shower water what's going on. Immediately after I turn that down, the next sound you hear is jet engine propeller decibel level, Dyson hair dryer blowing my wife's hair. And I just kind of looked like, this makes no sense to me, right? Because in her mind, my podcast was too loud and annoying and was going to wake the kids up in the next bedroom. But her hair dryer that was 10 times louder was immediately sufficient, on a decibel rating to blare closer to the kids' bedroom without the chance of that waking them up. So I don't know, maybe this is another example of us guys we just don't get it. Maybe we just don't get it. But in my mind, I'm kind of thinking, maybe you women just don't get it sometimes, and that us guys really aren't harming the situation as bad as y'all might think it, that we are. Maybe, it would have been okay to me too if she would have just said, "Hey, that guy's, Steve Rinella's voice is annoying and I don't want to listen to it this morning. Can you turn it off?" I'd have said, "Yeah, sure." He's from up in the north, and, maybe us slow talking Southerners, maybe for her, that just, didn't fit her bill for the morning. But no, she told me it was too loud and then immediately blared something 10 times louder, and that just bumfuzzled me bigger than Dallas, because I do not understand where women come from when they get those type of ideas. But neither here nor there. Some of you guys might appreciate that, might have the same situation going on at your house. Some of you women may now hate me more than, people already hate me in my life, and that's fine too. Today's topic: why are pig hunts not free in the state of Texas? And this is, yes, coming from a place of listening to a Meat Eater podcast with Steve Ranella and some of his guys, and I think a guy named Ben Binion who was on there. They were all discussing this. Ben, I believe, was actually from Texas. Maverick County episodes 36, 37, 35, 36 on the Meat Eater podcast, somewhere around there. Anyways, it's about the hog hunting. And I get what Ranella was saying to an extent, but I believe he was off, or gets off base on some of the reasons that just doesn't happen here in the state, right? There's some times where I could see his point working, but there's more times that it does not work. And so his point, or the point that a lot of people have, I'm not just going to say Ranella, but a lot of people have this. You'll see it all over Facebook when guys try to advertise hog hunts, and you see a price on a hog hunt that's, whatever, $300 a night, $500 a night, $150 a night, whatever it is. And some of the first few comments is, well, pigs must not really be a problem if you're wanting to make money off of them. Well, let me break it down for you. One, I can understand that, right? Let me put it this way. Texas does have a ton of pigs. We do have a lot of pigs. Pigs have been in the state of Texas since like the 1500s, right? Because pigs are just feral versions of domesticated pigs. You can go all the way back, to native people being here, Spanish Inquisition coming over, doing different stuff like that, all the way up to the Alamo, people having pigs. Pigs get out, pigs turn feral, therefore you have wild pigs. And it's been like this forever. So it's not just a brand new occurrence that over the past 20 years we've had this massive explosion of wild pigs, and they're destroying every crop in the whole state of Texas. And if we don't do something, they're going to spread these crazy diseases and kill everybody and kill all the animals, and we're not going to have any crops, and yada yada yada. It's all storyline. Okay, there's a big storyline to that. Yes, there are areas in the state of Texas that some would consider overrun with pigs. I've been in places in Texas where I've been hunting and I've watched 20, 30 pigs come out. I've been with my buddy Jeremy Simpson on some of his peanut fields when we run the thermal hog hunts out there, and I've seen those guys have nights of shooting 90-something pigs in a night. I've personally witnessed a couple hundred pigs in one night of driving around predator hunting, seeing a couple hundred pigs in different peanut fields out there that, yes, are causing damage. But it's not to the extent of the lights go off and pigs are everywhere. You know what I'm saying? It's not to the extent that you see on some of the TV shows of, we've got so many pigs you have to be careful walking in out of your house at night to go get the mail because you might get attacked by a wild pig. That's just not how things happen. All right. So from Steve's point, that's one thing. And as a writer, I believe that he should understand that more than anybody. But for anybody that's listening that doesn't understand that, there are certain areas in Texas that you're going to go out. If I wanted to go out and try to kill a pig, I could bait the spot for a week and I wouldn't see a pig. So it's not like we just walk out and every night have the opportunity to shoot 50 pigs. That's not how it happens. Most of the time, if you shoot one pig, you're doing a good job. And if you shoot two pigs in a night at a certain spot, you had a freaking awesome night. However, that's not the perception that gets played off. And you have to realize, too, that a lot of times the guys that are selling hog hunts are pumping the storyline of, we're overrun with pigs. So that's something else you have to take into consideration, is that there's a lot of marketing that goes into play with that, to the extent of a guy that's trying to sell hog hunts. He has the option to say, come hunt hogs. He has the option to say, you got a chance to get a few. Or he has the option to say, Texas is overrun with pigs. They're killing our domesticated animals. They're destroying our crops. We've got so many, we don't know what to do. We need you to come here and hunt them. And that sells more than the other two options. From a monetary standpoint, there's a few ways to look at this. You can find a few people throughout the state that will tell you, yeah, man, I got a bunch of pigs. I don't like them. I don't want anything to do with them. I hate them. Feel free. Come on out here. Shoot some pigs. 9 times out of 10, when you find that person, they're going to be a family member, a close family friend, somebody you go to church with, somebody you hang out with, somebody that you have a relationship with that knows you're a responsible person, and you're going to come out and you're going to treat their property with respect. You're going to do the right thing as far as game laws and gun safety and vehicle safety. And they know that your object in the pursuit of these pigs is to go out, hopefully shoot one, possibly shoot two, take them home with you, clean them up, eat them, do whatever, and remove the pigs from their property. And that you will find situations where when those relationships are built, you have the ability to go do that. From the standpoint of thinking, if Texas has this many pigs, I should just be able to go out there and hunt. Landowners are stupid or are ripping people off. If they have all these pigs and they're destroying stuff and they're trying to make money off of it, they're just screwing people over. Texas landowners are a bunch of greedy blankety blanks. You've got to calm down a little bit if that's your thought process and think of it in a modern day situation where you have a landowner. Let's say a landowner owns 2,500 acres in the state of Texas that has a lot of pigs on it. If a guy has 2,500 acres in the state of Texas, more than likely he is a millionaire. He's worth more than $1 million because the land itself is probably, obviously, going to be worth more than $1 million. The guy obviously had to have some money to acquire that property, so he probably has more than that. Therefore, he is what we would consider a wealthy individual. In today's society, step one for that individual, who's probably tied to other companies, is that he can't allow any Tom, Dick, and Harry to come traipse around on his property and take chances for them to hurt themselves, hurt someone else, this, that, and the other, and hold him liable, which you will. That happens every day. I've heard 1,000 times where people say, no, we're not the suing type. We just want to come out and do this, this, and this. Next thing you know, they've rolled a vehicle, they've broke their leg, somebody got shot in the butt with birdshot, and that person is suing the landowner. That is step one, or issue one, reasoning behind why you can't just come down, get on somebody's private property, and go hunt. You are too much of a liability. You are more of a liability to the landowner than the pigs are. Right? The pigs, a landowner can tell you flat out, pigs destroy this amount of crops a year. Probably has some form of insurance that's paying him back for that. But pigs can destroy this amount of crops per year, and it comes out to this dollar mark. And let's say that dollar mark is $20,000 a year that he loses in crop damage for this particular farmer. I promise you, if you go out there and do something and sue him, you're going to sue for a heck of a lot more than $20,000. So your risk is much greater to him than the pig's risk are. Therefore, that is issue one of why you're not going to be able to go down there and do that. Issue two, from my point of view, is that people in general, and I think you can look at this in your everyday life also, and try to find some form of recognition with what I'm saying. But 9 times out of 10, if you let your kid or your neighbor, let's take a lawnmower for example, right? You keep your stuff pristine in your shed or in your garage. You let your kid or your neighbor go mow their yard or go do this and that with the lawnmower. They bring the lawnmower back. 9 times out of 10, there is an exception to the rule, but 9 times out of 10, the lawnmower has less fuel in it than when it left, and it has a heck of a lot more dirt and grass on it than when it left. Why? Because somebody else did not, the person that you allowed to borrow that, did not purchase that and did not put the work and effort into a job to obtain the dollar amount to go buy that piece of equipment, and therefore they don't have as much invested into that piece of equipment as you do, leaving them to not care as much about the piece of equipment as you do. That happens in direct correlation with hunting ranches. A guy has 2,500 acres. He spent at least $2.5 million on it, and the state of Texas now at 2,500 acres, he probably spent somewhere, if it's decent land, around $3 million to $4 million for that piece of property. He put a lot of time and effort into that piece of property. The property is more than likely his livelihood. He makes his living off the property, more than likely. And it's not in his best interest to allow you to come for free, do whatever you want, and have free reign on the property just by your word of, yeah, you'll take care of the place, only to come back later and find that while you were chasing a pig, you made ruts all through his pasture. While you stayed in his cabin, you left the water running before you left, and you didn't turn it off like he asked. You left your trash in a trash can, and his whole cabin smells like rotted trash now. You wiped your rear and left your toilet paper in the trash can in there, and he has to go in there and deal with that now. You shot some pigs and decided the meat probably wasn't good because it was a big boar, so you left it laying in his field. Or you gutted your pig or took the back straps from it and drug it off and thought you put it under a tree that nobody would find, only to find out that when the sun came up, every person that drives through the ranch can see a rotten pig right over there. Or that you drug it to what you considered was a good spot, and now this guy's having to chase buzzards out of the middle of his field every morning. You just don't have invested what the farmer or rancher has invested in their piece of property. So that's issue 2 of why, it's more than likely not going to happen where farmers and ranchers open up the floodgates for people from other states or even our own state to just say, yeah, come out and take care of my pig problem for me. Because once again, you are more of a liability, or you are more of a risk, and at a lot of times more of a headache to the farmer or rancher than the pigs are. Which leaves us to the third issue, and the main issue is that why do people charge for this? And if the first 2 issues weren't good enough, the third one is pretty self-explanatory, and that's because the farmer there has to be a trade-off, some form of barter system, and in today's society, money is our main source of barter, and it has to be that the farmer has to receive something to either accept or prove that you are going to take care of his stuff, or compensate him for not taking care of his stuff. And also, he could be receiving something just because, flat out, the issue is just because the pigs are on his property. It's his property. The pigs are an asset, if you will, on his property, and you're coming to kill them. Therefore, even if they are damaging his stuff, if he has a way to make $1 off of them, he should be allowed to do that. And in all reality, if you don't like that, the simple solution is just to not hunt them. Maybe it will get to the point one day where pigs really are attacking people, and we really are overrun with pigs, and every time they plant something, the entire crop is completely destroyed to the means of they'll never be able to harvest crops again. And at that point, maybe they will be more lenient to come open the floodgate. But I am pro-capitalism, and I say that if a man has something on his property that you want, he should be able to make $1 off of that in order to put that back into the property that he's worked for. And I know the guys up north, guys like Ranella, think of it in a way of, they do a lot of public land hunting, and I think that's absolutely awesome. But let me ask you this. Do you not have to pay the state a trespassing fee, for instance? Your license, your tags, your draws, to be able to enter the draw? Is there not a fee for this type of stuff to be able to go and hunt that public land and do what you want to do out there? And the answer to that is ultimately yes. There's I don't know of anywhere, even state-owned land, that you can just go out there and hunt without paying the state anything at all. Maybe I'm wrong. If I am, you guys type that in the comments and let me know I'm wrong. But I've never found a place where you don't have to spend any money at all to take your weapon and your vehicle and go out there and hunt. Texas is at least 95% privately owned. A lot of these ranches are same size tracts of land as a lot of the public land, that people are able to hunt in different areas of the country. If you want to come down and get on a public land or a rancher's private land in a state that does not really have much public land to go access, you have to pay a trespassing fee just like you would anywhere else. Now, Farmer A may say that it's $100 a day to come out and trespass and hunt pigs on his place, and Farmer B may say it's $500, and they might do different stuff, for you while you're there. One guy might have a place to stay. One guy might have thermal equipment that he's going to allow you to use. Another guy might say, I ain't got nothing but a piece of property with pigs on it, and here's the price to come do that. Throw you a tent up and have at it. But they all deserve to be, if they want to be, they all deserve to be paid for your time on their property and your use of their property. It's their livelihood. And if you go to a piece, I'm headed to Colorado, like I said in the last episode, I'm headed to Colorado the first part of November to elk hunt. It's public land, but I do not get to just walk out there on the public land and go hunting for free. And there are instances in certain states where you could say deer or elk or whatever are overrunning certain sections or areas or pieces of property in a state. And I promise you, you will hardly ever, maybe never, hear somebody say, well, if the elk are overrunning and destroying your crops, why don't you just let people come out there and shoot them for free? Even if it was on public land, if there was a piece in Colorado that the elk were just completely overrun, I promise you, they still would not say, hey, you guys come from everywhere and just come on out here and hunt them for free. You don't need to pay for any type of tag. Y'all just come on out here and hunt them for free. That won't happen. It's the same thing with down in South Texas. There are areas in South Texas that have an abundance of nilgai to the extent, we have the I don't want to call it the wrong name, but it's a type of tick down there that the nilgai transport back and forth from, I guess it comes back and forth from Mexico. We obviously don't want it here in the state of Texas. If you shoot a nilgai, you have to have the USDA, I believe, comes in and sprays it to make sure all those ticks are dead before you transport the hide out of that zone. It's gotten to the extent down there where there are stories of the government flying helicopters and knocking out nilgai because there's too many in a certain area and they're worried about this transport of ticks and blah, blah, blah. Yet, They have never said, hey, if anybody wants to, y'all come pile on down here and start killing these nilgai for free because we got too many of them or because they're causing a problem. You still have to go through a process. You still have to pay to access that property. I know I went on a long rant about this one, but I hope I got my point across. And my point is, a landowner ought to be able to charge anytime he wants to because he owns the property and because you're coming on his property. And a lot of times, the hunters are more of a headache and cause more damage than the pigs themselves. And you should not take the stories of Texas being completely overrun with pigs and them destroying all forms of domesticated livestock and farm crops as the truth. Take a lot of the advertisement that you see the same way that you take watching CNN. Some part of that story was probably based on a sliver of truth that was found somewhere deep in the dark spots of journalism. And they can take it and flip it into whatever they want to catch your attention and suck you in on that topic. And that is a lot of times what happens on the topic of hog hunting in the state of Texas. Do not get mad if a landowner tries to charge you for a hog hunt. If you want to come hunt the pigs and he has find whatever landowner has a price point that fits your budget, find whatever landowner has a hunt style that fits the storyline that you would like your hunt to work out for. Hook up with that guy. There's thousands of them across the state of Texas. A lot of them are very reasonable to go to. Some of them offer a lot more, like I said earlier, and are pretty expensive to go to. But you find the guy that has the experience you want. Come hunt the wild pig just like any other big game animal that you have a passion to go hunt for. And just be excited about the opportunity to hunt. Quit getting so mad at people for not just opening the floodgates on their ranch and letting people run out there with guns and ATVs and shoot as anything and everything they want to when it comes to pigs and then just walk off when they're done. That's not how it works in this state or any other state for that matter. And I just think that we need to appreciate a little bit more of the process of how things work down here. And there are one of the things they said, I'll touch on this last subject real quick because this is another thing that they said that did bug me a little bit on that podcast, but that the only people that are advertising and running hog hunts are people that are buying hogs and bringing them to their property and letting you shoot them. And that's obviously not true also. There are situations where that happens. I don't like high fence hog hunting to the extent of a guy has a piece of property and he's bringing pigs in and he's, letting people come in and shoot the pigs. That's not my thing. And there is a lot of that goes on. But there are a ton of guys that are doing just like we previously talked about, that have big ranches, that have pigs on the ranches. They want the pigs gone off the ranch. They're offering you a fair price to come trespass and hunt on their property, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So like I said, if you're wanting to come hunting pigs in Texas, find the type of hunt that fits your storyline, the experience that you want. Find a guy you like doing business with, come down here and hunt it just like any other big game. But don't get so mad at the landowners that are charging for pigs, because it is their property and it is their way of life. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with a man figuring out how to make $1 or an extra $1 on something that he worked so hard to build in the first place. If you have concerns or think I'm absolutely ignorant on the topic, go ahead and drop those down below. You guys have been doing awesome leaving the comments lately. I really appreciate it. It's fun interacting with y'all. I am getting ready to head out of town Saturday morning. Today's Thursday. I'm heading out Saturday morning. Me, JJ, and Jancy are headed down to deep South Texas in Los Fresnos and are going to try to find ourselves a nilgai. JJ and I are going with the bows. Jancy is going with a homemade Kentucky muzzle loader, and it sure should be a pretty cool experience. I got the camera gear ready. I'm hoping that I will be able to film myself, shoot a nice blue bull, and post that video up for you guys sometime next week. Thanks again for watching or listening. Like I said, don't watch, listen more than you watch. But thanks again for listening. If you got a topic you want us to discuss, leave that down below. I'm really enjoying this. Can't wait to see you guys again back here on Monday for the next podcast.